What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update for you guys, and hopefully our last Harry Kane update. Obviously, we will cover the announcement as well, but it looks as though Harry Kane is en route to Munich. We'll give you all the updates as they played out since last night. Romano broke this morning saying Harry Kane to Bayern. Here we go. Deal completed between all parties as Kane has given final green light. Tottenham to receive a €100 million fixed fee plus add-ons up to €20 million package. Kane will sign a 4-year deal. He'll fly to Germany today. Medical booked and done deal. But then there seemed to be some sort of confusion and complication in the deal.
Well, this deal, surely not. Never like this deal to be any sort of complication, surely.
Never any complications with Daniel Levy's running a deal. But Romano then said, final poker games of Harry Kane saga. Harry Kane and his camp at the airport in order to fly to Munich. Tottenham now asking to change some small conditions of the deal. Kane just waiting to fly once Spurs approve. Daniel Levy is in the USA, so he is on a different time zone. And then he went on to say that Harry Kane and his camp at the airport in order to fly. Oh, no, so that's the same update. Sorry. Then Paul O'Keefe said Harry Kane to Bayern is worth over £100 million and add-ons could take it up to £120 million. Sky Cava says, talking about the complications, he says Harry Kane was being driven to Stansted Airport this morning when he was told not to fly to Munich. He turned back and we went to his family home near the airport waiting for permission to fly. Tottenham were trying to change the details at the final minutes. Miguel Delaney said that the Kane deal is not 100% agreed as negotiations over the exact figures are ongoing as Levy wants £100 million all in. Sammy Mockbell says the delay in Harry Kane's move to Bayern Munich. Kane was due to fly to Germany this morning but has been told he cannot amid claims Tottenham are trying to renegotiate their agreement with Bayern, a fast-moving situation. And then the Times says it is understood that Bayern accommodated one of Tottenham's wishes by agreeing to pay a large chunk of the fixed transfer fee up front, leaving Spurs with plenty of cash to spend during the remainder of the transfer window. So now it is fully expected for Harry Kane to land in Munich at some point today. So look, we covered this at length last night about our feelings about the Harry Kane deal. It was a very emotional night last night, not going to lie. Now the dust has settled a little bit. I am feeling very hopeful for this season, but solely on Harry Kane, it's a disastrous day in the club to lose such a legend of this football club. But we just have to look forward, don't we?
Yeah, it's a sad day. I don't think it can be anything but you can acknowledge the logic of accepting a bid of 100 million plus 20 million euros for a 30-year-old striker with 1 year left in his contract, while also acknowledging the fact that it's a very sad day that Kane has been driven to the point where he feels like he's better off going to the Bundesliga rather than staying at his boyhood club, which he's currently top goal scorer of all time at, who he's been loyal for a very long time and has always wanted to succeed at Tottenham. And the fact that it's got to a case where he's thinking I'd rather go to Bayern Munich than spend any more time at Tottenham is a very sad indictment of the direction this club has been going the last 4 years. Now, hopefully that's starting to change, but unfortunately it seems as though it's changing too little too late when it comes to trying to convince Harry Kane to stay. And that is a sad day, and it is a sad day to lose our best ever player. But at the end of the day, football moves on and we have to move on. And as hard as it is, and as much as for me personally, I don't think there's a situation where we're better off without Kane, even with the money, in my opinion. I think this season would have been better and easier for Tottenham to achieve their goals with Harry Kane in the team than without Harry Kane in the team. It doesn't mean we can't have a good season. It doesn't mean we can't improve, and it doesn't mean that Ange can't get some good signings through the door and carry on the progress he's been making with how the team has been kind of functioning and how they've been set up and how he's getting them to play. So there is obviously going to be a lot of excitement and a bit of unknown as to what the rest of the transfer window now brings. Now we have all this money to spend, and it's going to be very interesting to see how we spend this money. I don't quite buy totally that it was Kane's last wish that we get all the money up front and all that kind of stuff, because the way modern football works, you get that money and then you can plan ahead with that money.
Stagger it out anyway. Every deal is with staggered over 3-4 years these days anyway.
And you can you can sign a player on loan with an obligation to buy and pay the money later if you know you're getting that money later. So,
but having said that, Sim, like there is a value to be said that because we have this money up front, we can get a favourable term as opposed to paying more money up front for deals this summer as opposed to staggering it out. Maybe we can get a slightly cheaper deal.
Why? Why would we get a cheaper
Because
deal?
because they'll get cash up front instead of having it in instalments over many years.
Yeah, potentially. Maybe clubs would be more willing to deal with us if they're getting the cash up front. That's a possibility. But we'll have to wait and see what kind of business we're going to do. Because I'd like to know what kind of business we're going to do now that we couldn't have done without the Kane money, if you know what I mean. Because for me, I think we could have sold Højbjerg for. It looks like we might be selling Højbjerg for a fair bit of money. There's still a lot of other players to go out the door. Hopefully, Sanchez and maybe other players within the squad who we can get. Maybe in Ndombele, get a bit of money for him as well. So that maybe the money if we take a Harry Kane out of the equation, we could have, let's say, gotten another extra 40-50 million through the door to maybe make. If you wanted to sign a gift Orban, that could have paid for that. So I do kind of wonder what transfers we're now going to make with this extra 100 million through the door that we couldn't have made otherwise. And it's going to be interesting. Yeah,
it is interesting. And I think as much as it pains us, there are reasons to be excited going into this season. I think that it's a bit of a kick in teeth. This happens like literally on the eve of the Premier League kicking off. And the person I feel sorry for in this situation is Ange Postecoglou, because like ever since joining the club, I mean, everything has just not gone according to plan. When you look at the pre-season, you look at the constant questions about Harry Kane. Now he's finally gone, the talisman of this football club. I mean, he's just been fighting an uphill battle ever since he's joined Tottenham Hotspur, and things need to smooth out at some point. And I think now Harry Kane's gone and we can start looking forward, or we can start moving forward from this situation. I think potentially he can really drill into his squad, his methods of how he wants to play, and bring players that he wants in before the end of the transfer window. And I do believe that we can have a really good season this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. But what the argument I would make is there were reasons to be excited regardless of Harry Kane. But I don't think, there are some people who are saying, I wouldn't make the argument personally that there's more reasons to be excited because we're getting 120 million for Harry Kane. In my opinion, in terms of how we can do next season, I think it's only a negative thing that Kane is leaving. And even though we are getting money and we'll see how we spend it, I don't think we're better off as a football team and in terms of what we can achieve without Harry Kane. So that's a negative. But in the overall picture of Tottenham, the fact that we've got Ange Postecoglou for the door, we've made some decent signings like James Maddison, got filling that creativity void, Van de Ven. We're completely changing up the way we're going to play. We're going to play a much more attacking style of play, which is already exciting fans with the performances we've seen in pre-season. I think that is definitely a reason to be excited, and that's regardless of the Harry Kane situation. I think the fact that we're selling Kane has put a negative on that situation, but I think the overall picture is, regardless of whether Kane stayed or go, I think we're going to improve on last season, and I still think that's the case. People who are kind of making the predictions that if we sell Harry Kane, we're going to be a mid-table team and we're going to drop down and we're going to be battling relegation because look how reliant we were on him last season, all that kind of stuff. I think that's only coming from fans who don't realise that the plan was always that we were going to be less reliant on Harry Kane, whether he stayed or go. We're always going to be less reliant on him this season, and I still think that's going to be the case. Hopefully, now that he is gone, we are going to share the goals around a bit more. Other players are going to have to step up. Richarlison's going to have to get into double digits. Son is going to have to maybe get more than the 10 goals he got last season. Maddison's going to have to start chipping in goals. Kulusevski is going to have to get near to double digits. So, and if we sign a new striker, let's say a Gift Orban, he's going to probably have to get close to 10 goals as well. Everyone's going to have to basically chip in to try and overcome the loss of losing 30 league goals in Harry Kane. If I look at the current options, I'm not going to lie, I don't know if I see us doing that with the current options. But I think if we do sign a striker like Gift Orban, and then Maddison and Richarlison can really step up, then I do see it.
But it's not just Maddison and Richarlison that really need to step up. The player I'm looking at that massively needs to step up and needs to have a massive season this year is Kulusevski, because last year it was nowhere near good enough from him in terms of the numbers that he pulled out. When he first joined Spurs under Antonio Conte, he really hit the ground running, and he was one of our best players, if not one of the Premier League's best players from January till the end of that season. We need to see him back getting those kind of goal contributions and chipping in with goals more. And I think if we can get goals from him, get goals from Sonny, which we know we can get, I'm looking at between them, I want to see at least 25 goals between them next season.
Between Son and Kulusevski?
Yeah, Son and Kulusevski. You want to see Richarlison, you want to see him getting a minimum of 10 goals next season. And Maddison as well, you want to see him a minimum getting 10 goals next season. And I think if that is the case and that can come to fruition, I don't see why we can't get like a top 5 finish next season.
Yeah, and it's interesting though when you because Son at the end of the day did get 10 goals last season. So if we say like he gets another 10 this season, that means that we're going to have to find 30 goals from Richarlison, Kulusevski, and another attacker, and whoever else is in attack as well, or Maddison, I guess. Richarlison, Kulusevski, and Maddison are going to have to get 30 goals to make up for Harry Kane, because after them it was like Højbjerg and Bentancur getting 5 each. There weren't many other goal scorers, so hopefully we can start to share the goals round. I think the jury's out whether they're going to get 30 goals between them right now, but I wouldn't completely rule that out either. I think Maddison is known to get close to double digits. Richarlison most seasons gets double digits for Everton, and then the question is, can Kulusevski really up his goal output, which you were alluding to? And I think he just has to start becoming a lot more ruthless in front of goal. I think he's got a good shot on him, but for some reason recently his shooting has been really poor. He hasn't had that ruthless streak when he's got into those positions. Whereas when he first came, he was finding the corner. His shooting efforts were really, really strong. The last season, for some reason, I don't know whether it's a confidence thing or whatever, but his shooting boots were not on it at all. They were lacking power and accuracy, and he needs to find that if Tottenham are really going to overcome the loss of Harry Kane. Yeah,
absolutely spot on. So I think it's going to be hard to lose Harry Kane 100%, but there definitely still is light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that what you're talking about in terms of sharing the goals round, it's much more likely that's going to happen now in an Ange Postecoglou system than it would have done in an Antonio Conte system when everything was just funneled around Harry Kane. This, like you said before, right? This season was never going to be about playing to Harry Kane's strengths and funneling everything through Harry Kane. It was always going to be more about the team. And I think with losing Harry Kane, it's always going to be a massive loss, and we're always going to be worse off for it. But I think because of the system we're about to implement, we can handle it. So I think we move on. We'll probably get the confirmation this weekend that Harry Kane has joined Bayern Munich, but we do move on without him, obviously, for this weekend, the opener against Brentford. But let's move on and let's talk about Hugo Lloris now, another player in the leadership group, our captain that is leaving the club. Jose Felix Diaz said yesterday that Lloris has been offered to Real Madrid as Courtois done his ACL and he's out for a large chunk of the season. And Fabrice Hawkins says that Lazio are currently in talks with Hugo Lloris, who is keen on the move to Italy. Spurs are prepared to allow him to leave for free due to the service he's given the club. And I mean, we've said it many, many a time, right? But with Kane leaving, Lloris leaving, Højbjerg potentially leaving, I mean, you're talking about basically the whole of our captain, our vice captain, and our vice captain leaving the club.
It's true, but if you think about it, the last 4 years, the leadership I don't think has been particularly great.
True.
So I think in a way we need a change of leadership anyway. So although it's being enforced, I think it's, sometimes a hard reset is a good thing, and you see Basuma starting to take more leadership responsibility. Hopefully Son can start taking more responsibility in that front as well. So I think when leaders go out, hopefully new leaders step up, and I think we're starting to see that within the squad anyway. And I'm sure Ange will instill that sense of responsibility within these players now Kane's gone. I'm sure he'll tell Son, look, Kane was a talisman. He was the, apart from Lloris, he was one of the captains. You're going to have to take up the responsibility, and it's about how he reacts to that, and I'm sure he'll react well. It's a bit peculiar why Lloris is still around. It's been a while since we've known he's leaving. He didn't go on the pre-season tour to look for a transfer. No one seems interested, but maybe now with Lazio coming in, maybe that could be the move that finally sees him go. I don't think he's going to Madrid.
You back him to get a short-term move to Madrid, no?
No. I reckon they're going to go for De Gea. I reckon those rumours are true.
I mean, De Gea is not exactly the greatest keeper anymore, anyway, is he?
He's not, but he's a keeper they've wanted previously, and they know that Courtois is going to come back eventually. So De Gea is a short-term option for a keeper that they once wanted. I think makes sense.
But even if he doesn't, look, I kind of agree. Like they'll favour De Gea over Lloris, but when you're looking at the Lazio deal, that should be a deal that he should be really interested in. It's a good move for him.
Yeah, I think so. I think they finished second in Serie A last season.
Was it second?
I think so. Yeah. Or they finished in the top 4. So I think it would be a good move. I think if he was to go there, it'd be a good move.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see where they did finish, but I can't believe they finished second. They did finish second.
Yeah.
Interesting. Back in the Champions League for Hugo Lloris, so it'll be a great move for him.
Great move.
And finally, let's talk about Joe Rodon. He's officially made his move to Leeds United on loan. If certain conditions are met, it will turn into an obligation to buy as well. And Spurs says Joe Rodon has joined Championship Leeds United on loan for the 23-24 season. Good luck, Joe. And like this signing was just a completely pointless signing, Joe Rodon. He's come in under Jose Mourinho. He had that one little spell, I think it was before Jose got sacked. And apart from that, he's never been given a chance.
Yeah, and he's now, he went off to Rennes, had a good little spell at the beginning, and then he fell away in that loan spell as well. I think it's just better. But I mean, look, he's still only going on loan. It's not a permanent transfer, and also there's no indication that there's any obligation or option to buy.
I thought no, there is. I think they said that if certain criteria is met, it's going to turn into an obligation.
Apparently it changed.
Oh, that changed, did it?
There's no obligation, apparently. I know, unless that changed again. I think the latest information was there's no obligation.
Oh, right.
If I remember rightly. So I think he needs some consistent game time. I think going back down to the Championship might help him. I don't know if he's a Premier League standard defender. I don't think he's been proven to show that at the moment. As much as he's played well for Wales, I think Premier League is getting tougher and tougher, and I think Joe Rodon hasn't really got to grips with the Premier League. So
know him, do you?
Yeah, well, look, I think a team like Leeds in the Championship, a big club like that, where even though he's in the Championship, there'll be less attention, but it's still a big club, so he's still going to have a lot of responsibility and try and get that promotion fight for him. So I think it's a good move for him.
Yeah, I agree. A really good move for him. It's a team that's going to be fighting at the top of the Championship, potentially get a promotion as well. They'll definitely be in and around the playoffs for sure, at minimum, Leeds. So look, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. If he does do really well there, I do expect Leeds to try sign him at the end of the year, and it won't be such a big fee. I mean, his contract's probably running down as well, and you expect probably a minimal fee at the end of the season if Leeds were to take him. And I think he'll be a good asset for them. I do think he's a good defender. I just don't think he's a defender for the top half of the Premier League. I think probably relegation battle, lower half of the Premier League or top end of the Championship. I think that's probably where his level's at.
Yeah, I think we took a risk, 12 million. We were like, let's get a cheap defender to see if he has more potential instead of spending 45 on Skriniar. And you buy cheap, you buy twice, and that was an example of that sometimes.
Yeah, for us, it's more like you buy cheap, you buy 10 times.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That is your Tottenham update today. We'll see you all very soon. Let us know your thoughts regarding all the news topics we've talked to you about today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.